The Dark Side of the Renaissance: Secrets and Scandals Behind the Art. Hello and welcome to Topics of Interest. I'm Emre, and before we dive in, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest discussions. Today's topic is the Renaissance, a time of extraordinary creativity, artistic brilliance, and intellectual awakening. But behind the masterpieces and the grandeur of the period lies a darker, more complex reality. One filled with secrets, scandals, and intrigue. The Dark Side of the Renaissance: Secrets and Scandals Behind the Art. Part 1. Power and Patronage. The Renaissance wasn't just about art, it was about power. Much of the incredible art we admire today was funded by wealthy and powerful patrons. But these patrons weren't always motivated by a love for beauty. Take the Medici family, for example. They ruled Florence, not through elections, but through control of the banking system and strategic marriages. Their commissions to artists like Michelangelo and Botticelli weren't just acts of generosity, they were displays of power. The Catholic Church also played a huge role in Renaissance art, but many of its commissions were stained by corruption. The wealth of the Church was built on indulgences, payments people made to the Church in exchange for promises of salvation. This corruption would eventually lead to the Protestant Reformation. Part 2. Michelangelo's turbulent relationship with the Church. Michelangelo, one of the most celebrated artists of the Renaissance, had a fraught relationship with the Church. Despite being commissioned to create some of the most iconic works of religious art, Michelangelo was known to be deeply critical of the Vatican. While working on the Sistine Chapel, Michelangelo faced constant pressure from Pope Julius II, who was known for his fiery temper. Pope wanted quick results, but Michelangelo was a perfectionist. Their relationship grew so tense that Michelangelo once fled Rome to avoid working under the Pope's conditions. Despite the tensions, Michelangelo eventually completed his masterpiece, but his frustration with the Vatican never fully disappeared. Part 3. The Scandalous Life of Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci, the genius behind the Mona Lisa and the Last Supper, led a life filled with scandal. Known for his boundless curiosity and revolutionary ideas, Leonardo was often at odds with the authorities of his time. In 1476, Leonardo was accused of sodomy, a serious crime in Renaissance Florence. While he was eventually acquitted due to lack of evidence, the trial left a lasting stain on his reputation. Leonardo was also notorious for his eccentric personality. He was known to be secretive, often starting projects and leaving them unfinished, much to the frustration of his patrons. His journals, filled with sketches and ideas, reveal a man who was constantly thinking, but often overwhelmed by his own genius. Part 4. Botticelli and the Bonfire of the Vanities. Sandro Botticelli, the artist behind The Birth of Venus, experienced the dark side of Renaissance politics firsthand. During the late 15th century, Florence was gripped by the radical sermons of Girolamo Savonarola, a fiery preacher who denounced the luxuries of the Renaissance. Savonarola believed that art and culture were corrupting the soul. Under his influence, the infamous Bonfire of the Vanities took place in 1497, where many luxury items, books, and artworks were destroyed. Some say that Botticelli himself threw some of his own paintings into the fire, though this remains a matter of debate. The Bonfire of the Vanities symbolizes the tension between the spiritual and the material that haunted many Renaissance artists. Part 5. Art, Sex, and Violence. The Renaissance also saw an explosion of both sensual and violent imagery in art. Painters like Titian and Giorgione celebrated the human body, often in highly eroticized forms, while others like Caravaggio brought shocking brutality to their canvases. Caravaggio, in particular, lived a violent life. His temper led to multiple brawls, and he was even involved in a murder that forced him to flee Rome. His art reflected this turbulence, combining dramatic lighting and intense realism with scenes of bloodshed and suffering. Conclusion: the Renaissance beyond the surface. While the Renaissance gave birth to some of the greatest works of art in human history, it was also a period marked by corruption, violence, and personal strife. For the artists of the time, their creations were not just about beauty, they were expressions of the complex and often dark world they lived in. Closing quote. And perhaps that's the greatest legacy of Renaissance art, its ability to make us see the world not just as it is, but as it was, both beautiful and deeply flawed. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the secrets and scandals of the Renaissance, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more historical insights.